Welcome. In this demonstration, we're back in the AWS Academy sandbox environment, and we're going to look at automated backups and read replicas in RDS. In the console, I'm going to go ahead and click RDS. In preparation for this demonstration, I used a CloudFormation template to create a database instance. On the left-hand side, I click Databases, and up comes the created database called My Database 2. On the summary, in the AWS console, it shows the database identifier, which in this case is the name of the database, My Database 2, the CPU usage, the number of concurrent connections, if the database is available, and in this case it is, what engine I'm using, in this case MySQL, the class I'm using in the instance, and the region and availability zone that the database resides in. As I scroll down, there are a number of links that allow me to see other information about my database instance. In this case, the connectivity and security link shows the endpoint and port that I can use to connect directly to my instance. When I click on the monitoring link, it shows me a bunch of CloudWatch metrics, including CPU utilization. In this case, it had spiked when the database instance was started. We can see that there are no connections to the database. No one's actually using the database at this moment. And under free storage space, it shows how much storage we have allocated to this database instance. Now, you can go ahead and set up a CloudWatch alarm that will go ahead and notify you when you hit a particular minimum threshold. That way that you won't go ahead and have the database fill up and stop working. You can create the alarm under the Logs and Events link. When I click Configuration, I get a little more information about the database. So now, not only the database instance ID, but I get the engine version, in this case 5.7.22. We look at the instance class. It tells us how many virtual CPUs we have, how much RAM, what the storage is. In this case, it's not encrypted. Remember, if I wanted to encrypt this storage, I would have to go ahead and make a snapshot of this database and then restore from snapshot. And when I restore from snapshot, I have the option to encrypt the database. RDS is not like S3, where S3 you can go ahead and just turn encryption on and everything becomes encrypted. RDS, you need to do it when you create the database. On the Maintenance and Backup tab, it gives information such as if it's enabled to upgrade the instance when minor changes occur to the software. In this case, it's disabled. Later on in this demo, we'll show you how to go in and enable it. It shows the maintenance window, if there's any pending maintenance, and modifications. So we'll go ahead and scroll up to the top and click Modify. The Modify DB instance window opens up. Information pertaining to the version number of the database engine is included here, along with the database instance class and multi-AZ deployment. Now, this is a demonstration environment. We do not have a multi-AZ deployment enabled, but in production, you're going to want to do that because if a particular Amazon Web Services availability zone has an issue, you'll still have access to your database. We continue on with the name of the database instance, along with the network information, including the security group that in this case was created when I ran the CloudFormation template before starting this demonstration. We have the port options for the database parameter group, along with the option group and IAM database authentication. In this case, we have it turned off. So in this case, we'll go ahead and set up the database backup. So we're going to set the database backup for 7 days. And then we have to go ahead and set the time. So we're going to want to run the first backup here a few minutes from now. So I'll go ahead and jump to the Sandbox environment terminal window. In the terminal window, I'm going to type in date minus U, and then it shows the time. And so in this case, going to go ahead. The time is 1902 UTC, so I'm going to go back to the AWS console and set it a few minutes ahead of there. In this case, I'm going to select 1905, so it's just a few minutes, and then the database backup will occur. As I continue scrolling down, we have the log exports. Please note, in a production environment, you're going to want to check these boxes. The error logs are enabled by default, but the audit log, the general log, and the slow query log are not. So you're going to want to capture that data for troubleshooting purposes. Under maintenance, I'm going to select yes for the auto miner version upgrade. So if there's a new version of the database engine during the maintenance window, it will be updated. I'm going to go ahead and schedule those modifications to apply immediately. Now, please note that it will warn you that there could be downtime with this database when you have the maintenance window. This is not a production environment. I'm just doing this for demonstrations, but in a production environment, please be aware that you can take down your database at that time. As you can see under maintenance, the auto miner version upgrade has been enabled. And I'm able to go ahead and click up top to databases. And then as I scroll and look at my database, it does show that it is available. Maintenance window has not gone into effect. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video so that maintenance window can go into effect. And then because we scheduled it a few minutes in advance, and then I'm going to come back and we'll create that read replica. Welcome, folks. We're back. I'm going to go ahead and the snapshot is still running, being taken on this particular database. But as I scroll on that database and then click maintenance and backups, you see that the auto miner version upgrade has been enabled. So if we have a maintenance window and there's a new version of this particular database engine, it will be upgraded. We scroll down under backup, it shows that we have automated and enabled our backups to run every 7 days. We have the latest restore time as well as the backup window. Under snapshots, it still shows that the snapshot is being created. If the snapshot existed and I needed to restore, I could highlight the grayed out restore area. That would come up when there's a choice of a snapshot. Now I'm going to go ahead and scroll up to the top. Under the Actions menu, I'm going to go ahead and click Read Replica. Remember, the purpose for creating a read replica is to offload reads of the database from writes so that I don't have the contentions on my primary instance. So in this case, we have the database instance class. Again, do I want a multi-AZ deployment? Similar options that we had before in terms of when we were looking at the initial database instance. It shows the network information and if the database is publicly accessible. It shows the VPC security group that we're using, in this case the default created when we had the CloudFormation template, and then encryption. So we can enable encryption on this particular read replica. We're not enabling encryption on the database instance itself. This is just for the read replica. And now, again, I scroll all the way down and click Read Replica. One of the things I did forget was to put the name of the database instance identifier. So I went ahead and just changed that and then clicked Create Read Replica again. As we note, the snapshot is actually available. So if I highlight that particular snapshot and then click Restore, it does show information regarding the snapshot, similar to what we've seen when we first created or looked at the instance when it was being created, and then also with the read replica. As we scroll down, again, options that we've seen before. Notice that the encryption, it doesn't allow you to enable encryption or disable encryption. We're restoring this database from this particular snapshot, and because we had not enabled database encryption when we created the instance, that is the reason that we don't have options there. If we were restoring the snapshot to a new instance, we would have the option to enable encryption. I'm going to go ahead and now scroll up and then go back, clicking on databases. And now, as you can see, I have my original instance, which was named my database 2. And then I have the replica instance, which is called my read replica. Now, please note that that read replica is still being created, which is why the region and AZ has not shown up yet. Remember, I can create multiple read replicas, and by creating multiple read replicas, I can offload the workload for any reads to my database instance so that I can get better performance. This concludes the demonstration on creating a maintenance window for an RDS instance and also creating a read replica.